Quentin Vercetty, aka the Astronaut. I'm a storyteller, visual storyteller, educator. More importantly, I'm a learner of life. I'm one of the founders of BSAM Canada and executive in the Black Speculative Arts Movement. I was born in Etobicoke, in Rexdale. From my understanding, the reason why my parents moved to Canada, there was a political turmoil in the 70s in Jamaica. You know, there was a lack of jobs and the political climate was like really violent. You know, that's around the time Bob Marley got shot. And just a lot of the Jamaican posses were really running rampant. A lot of government shutdowns and stuff like that. And the transition from being a colony of the English Empire into being an independent country was really rough. My father came here first, and then he sent for everybody else. Growing up here, I would say my motive was to make my parents proud. It started off from that. What I understood that to be was to be successful in school. Wherever school is leading me is where I'm gonna go. That evolved in so many different ways. I dropped out of high school, told my parents, man, I'm a big man. You know, I went my own way. And it took me losing friends. It took me getting arrested on multiple occasions. It took me moving, having to go to another country. I went to school in upstate New York for a couple of months where I got kicked out. But it took me learning about myself through hardship to really realize that if I want to be successful in this country, I need to be successful in understanding the ways I need to grow as a human being, as an artist, as a creative, as a spiritual vessel. You know, and I often quote Jay-Z, you know, put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'm gonna triple my worth. It's through learning about myself and learning like the type of artist that I want to be. My purpose here is to continue to grow so I can share those lessons and share those fruits with others. I got in an altercation with someone who they ended up getting hurt really badly in the situation. And the person retaliated and they ended up killing a friend of mine. I ended up seeing the person. I was leaving from the Remix project. I started to like change my life around, denounce being a part of gangs, stop selling drugs, stop smoking, stop doing drugs. Was trying to fathom this idea of being a community leader or just being a part of a community. I came out of the Remix project building and I saw the person on Queen Street. He didn't recognize me, but I recognized him. It went through my mind to reach for, you know, and to do something. And he walked right by me and we locked eyes, decided not to do anything, you know, just gave him the head nod. That night I threw away the gun and yeah, I never looked back since, you know, that thought never crossed my mind. I prayed for the person, asked for forgiveness for having those thoughts. And it was definitely a crossroad for me to truly leave that life behind, but also to accept the new person that I was and to accept forgiveness, to not choose to be the judge and take action on behalf of somebody else or be the person to say whose life is valuable and whose not. So BSAM is the Black Speculative Arts Movement. While I was in this transition of trying to leave street life and gangs and all that stuff behind and really step into this identity of being an artist and being a community leader, I once was arrested and a police officer was trying to befriend me because he recognized I had talent. We played a game of chess. He's like, yo, you have so much potential. Like, you know, you're so thoughtful and you're so talented. Like, why do you keep finding yourself in these situations? He's like, the same way you play the game of chess, you should be applying that to the game of life. And he's like, yo, in chess, there's this thing called Priyome. And Priyome means you can see checkmate 4 or more moves ahead. And he's like, yo, in life, you need to think more than just the next step. You need to think further ahead. And he talked about like, you know, like in comic books of like, you know, the Matrix and the Seer and all these different things of Oracle. And that was my first introduction to Afrofuturism. Afrofuturism essentially became that Priyome of like thinking beyond the next step and thinking further beyond the next 4 steps, the next 4 generations. The Black Speculative Arts Movement was my way of trying to think beyond the next step and think that Priyome. What is that Priyome for the Black art community, you know, for Black artists in Canada? And so essentially it's a movement where we are combining Afrofuturism and Black speculative thought and Pan-Africanism and, you know, feminist thought and Rastafarian beliefs and Marcus Garvey ideology, combining all these different black diasporic movements and ideas into a foundation and into a platform that's trying to propel us towards liberation, essentially, both mentally, physically, spiritually. I launched the chapter here in Canada in 2016. Now we are in 7 different cities across Canada, but worldwide we are in about 33 cities. The things that was difficult to me when I was in high school or when I was at a certain age is not the same thing that would affect me now. But in this current stage, I would say losing my brother. He's by far the last person and the only person who see me in all my stages. So losing him was a really difficult thing to deal with because I went through survivor guilt. Like, why him and not me? Why did he go out the way that he went out? You know, he died from a brain aneurysm, which is, there's no one to point a finger to, you know? And just like the whole stages of grieving, you know? But also realizing that I lost someone who can understand what these victories mean. Because I can tell you, like, the things I've overcome and the things I've accomplished, or you can see the accolades I accomplished, but you're not gonna truly understand it because there's only one person that was there to witness it from the beginning, and that person's no longer here, you know? I just have to allow him to live through me and through the work that I'm doing. The quote for me, I didn't come this far, only to come this far. What it means to me, first thing that comes to my mind is my experience of tapping into Rastafarianism, you know, and tapping into the ideologies of, you know, His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie. This idea of thinking about the future. It makes me think back to my trip going to South Africa. I was going up Table Mountain and a guy literally jumped out of the bush and tried to like stick me up. And then he had another guy who came and he had a gun. I was told by a spiritual leader that I would find my truth when I go to the top of Table Mountain. So when these guys came out the bush, I'm like, yo, Benjamin, I didn't come here to have my life threatened, to be interrupted in terms of my path. 2 things came across my mind, either run or fight. So the first guy messed up, and it was the guy with the gun. So he came, and he came with a gun, he tried to reach my bag. I realized the gun wasn't pointing at me. I grabbed the gun, elbowed him in the throat, and then the other guy launched at me. I fought him, knocked them both out. And I looked at them, and for some reason I felt a peace. And I just continued up the mountain, Reggie. And then I went to the top of the mountain and I realized that that was the truth that I came for. It's like, am I willing to die to continue to grow? Am I willing to put my life on a line for my purpose? And so I got to the top of the mountain and I was kind of confused because I'm like, oh, it's just a view. But the view wasn't the point. It was what took me from being in Canada, being where I was coming from in the streets, to being paid as an artist to travel the world. Where I'm from, other people don't have that opportunity. And so that gave me so much motivation to continue to move through the world, through different spaces, different dimensions without fear. Like Nipsey Hussle says, you know, the marathon continues, you know, no matter what. And so that quote to me is like recognizing that I'm building a legacy, not for myself, but for others, you know what I mean? And a part of my mission here is not to be afraid of what I need to do. In terms of a message I would like to share with youth and for newcomers to Canada, first things first, I say travel, learn the country, you know, meet people around the country. I'm pretty sure you come here and you who are here already know what you're interested in. So take that and travel and find other places and spaces that accommodates and speaks to that. For me, it's art. So boom, I'm gonna travel to Vancouver, I'm going to an art gallery. And I'm not only gonna go to an art gallery, I'm gonna go to an art gallery and meet people who's gonna lead me to another art gallery. That's the best way to know what opportunities are out there for you. I feel like oftentimes we get complacent and we stay in this one place, like everyone tries to like come to Toronto. We are not connected enough with people across the country to build an industry that will allow us to really be the country that we say we are. If you are here in Toronto and I'm in Montreal, I can say, yo, boom, I got this going on over here, yo, come support that. Now we have a network going on. Now we have this this system of commerce happening, you know, where I'm supporting your business, you're supporting my business despite not being locally in the same place, you know. As a country that is opening and welcoming to newcomers, need to encourage that more. Once you identify in yourself what you're passionate about, travel with that. I'm Quentin Vercetty, and I didn't come this far to only come this far.